Hey guys, and welcome to another video for Freshly Squeezed Samples. This is your host John Grand, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a kick from scratch using a synth. In this video we're going to be using Spire. The reason why I'm going to be using Spire is because it's just a lot easier to get a kick right away than it is in some other synths. So we're going to be using this one for today's example, but please do note that this is applicable in just about any other VST. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to make sure that whatever patch I open up is completely free of any sort of settings. So I'm just going to reload Spire and we're going to start with this kick. Now what I've done is I've set up a simple MIDI pattern that would be similar to if I were to have a kick drum. So it's going to sound like this. And so one of the first things that we need to do is we need to make sure that our synth is set to an initialized patch, and then in Spire we're going to go to the white noise oscillator. Now this white noise right here can go one of either two ways. It can start off this way, or we can flip the side. For the purposes of this video though, we're going to flip it and have it go this way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to get the oscillator all the way down to 0, so that we can kind of work a little bit with the envelope 3. And the reason we're using envelope 3 is just because it's easier to visualize. I could go to envelope 2 and use that, but I'm actually going to be routing the cutoff filter to this envelope 2. So let's listen to how it sounds right off the bat. So as you can hear there's a nice clear white noise. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to play around with the envelope a little bit. So let's go ahead and move this envelope right here, which is the decay, and we're going to bring this down to this curve. And as you can hear there, those are the beginnings of a kick that we're going to start building little by little. Next thing we're going to do is bring up the sustain a little bit. And then we're going to bring up this resonance. This is kind of where the magic is going to be happening. I'm also bringing up the compressor. I'm going to boost the volume just a little bit. As you can hear there's kind of the beginnings of what would sound something like a hardstyle kick or something like that, right? So now let's go over to our envelope 1. We're going to bring the sustain all the way down. We're going to bring this decay up just a little bit. Kind of getting rid of a little bit of that resonance frequency. And then let's go ahead and play around a little bit with some of these settings here. And as you can hear there, the kick is starting to kind of take form. Let's go ahead and bring this detuning and density down. We don't need that. And as you can hear there, the kick is starting to take some life. Now you might notice that the kick, every time it's hitting, it's kind of phasing, so go ahead and listen to that real quick. You notice how every hit is a little bit inconsistent? Well, there's a trick to get around that. What we're going to do is turn this phase all the way to the right. And now the kick is always hitting in the same sort of phase. It's not kind of going back and forth and sounding like it's, you know, kind of warbling a little bit. Let's go ahead and play around a little bit more with some of these settings to get that kick nice and tight. As you can see on this amount on envelope 3, this is kind of where we have to tweak to get the kick to sound the way we want it to. Next thing we're going to do is maybe do a little bit of EQing. That's starting to shape into like a nice and punchy kick. We're kind of getting the vibe. Let's go ahead and maybe add a little bit of, well, in Spire it's called SHP, but we're going to be calling it overdrive. We can add a little bit of drive if we want. the more drive, the harder it's going to sound. For you for the people that are fans of hardstyle music, this is one way that you can kind of get to that sound. One thing I should also mention is that the sample rate will kind of give it a nice little reduction kind of sound, if you're into that. As you can see, very minimal and subtle changes are kind of what do the trick. You can't just click this and kind of hope for the best. You really got to kind of like do very minimal amounts of editing. And if you want, you can try with other different filter forms. I do warn that every single one is a lot different because each one of these is modeled after a different type of synthesizer. If I'm correct, I believe the Aceto one or Aceto is based on the Virus. Perfecto, I'm not exactly sure what that's modeled after, but I believe it's sort of like a more analog test-styled synth. Infecto, actually, I'm sorry, the Aceto one is actually modeled, I think, after the SH101, and then this one is modeled after the Virus. As you can hear, each one has kind of like its own tone and sound, so be sure to play around with those until you get to a sound that you like. Personally, I think the Perfecto one sounds really nice for styles like progressive, for melodic techno. And then let's go ahead and do some final tweaking on this envelope 3. And I think that about does it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and don't forget to comment, and also don't forget to subscribe. I look forward to making more of these for you. Have a good week.